Welcome to Monday. It's April 14th, 2025. This podcast brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's Railroad Heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope Legend. Glen Rock Bow, Scenic Trails, Dinosaur History, and Small Town Charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. Well, it's going to be an April roller coaster this week. We had a little bit of that as we went through the weekend after very warm summer-like conditions late last week, and for many of you on Saturday, well, temperatures have really cooled off quite a bit. But a lot of you maybe had noticed that moon out there, this month's moon, known as the pink moon. Jan Curtis getting a little pink and iridescence there out of the clouds overnight last night. What we're going to see is going to be a chilly Monday. Temperatures across the region will be below average, but a nice warm up. This is the roller coaster. We warm up quickly Tuesday and especially warm up quite a bit Wednesday. However, there's going to be a very fast moving cold front and trough coming out of northwest Canada and kind of merging in with a low over the southwestern United States. And that's going to bring a significant change in the weather between Thursday and Saturday. Now, a lot of you might say, well, last week I looked at the forecast for this week and it had nothing for Thursday or Friday. That is all about the disagreement and the problems that the models have been having. That's why, again, as I harp on all the time, going past 4 to 5 days on a forecast this time of year is fodder in terms of trying to get any specifics. So we're going to see a much different scenario unfolding here at the end of the week than it looked just a few days ago. And that's going to lead into a cool Easter weekend, as temperatures are going to be cooler than average, and it looks to be an unsettled cool week next week of below average temperatures, occasionally some April showers and thunderstorms across the west as the weather patterns are evolving and changing. In the meantime, though, before all the changes come, people getting out and enjoying the great outdoors. Great shot there out at Kirk County State Park between Laramie and Cheyenne, and all across the region. Some great photos of blue skies and sunshine, but also, as you'll see here in a moment, some menacing looking clouds as the weather pattern change. Beautiful cirrus clouds there. Then all the way into western South Dakota, lenticular clouds beginning to form as the weather pattern changed with that cold front moving across southern Canada and into the far northern plains this weekend. And all the way back from the Great Basin to Lander, things greening up there nicely. As you can see there in the pasture, Lander area, one location that did extremely well during the month of March, picking up some really good March precipitation. And with the warmer temperatures, things greening up very nicely. Then that front and trough came in late Saturday and Sunday across northern Wyoming and southern Montana, producing some layering of clouds. The system produced only light amounts of moisture across northern Wyoming. Most of the heavier moisture stayed off to the north. There's another shot of the pasture greening up here in the Lander area from this past weekend with the layers of clouds coming in with that frontal system. You can see a shot from Friday evening across the Wheatland area there. Now, we did have a wonderful example of an altocumulus standing lenticular cloud over southeastern Wyoming yesterday. Some of you may have observed a sunny start to the day, then just a thick cloud forming. Altocumulus standing lenticular, meaning it's standing. It's kind of staying in one place. And Jan Curtis has put together another fabulous video here, time-lapse of the standing lenticular cloud east of the Front Range over southeastern Wyoming and the Cheyenne area. You can see it forming first in one place, then expanding and growing. Look at the edge on the western edge of those clouds, showing you where that was all forming. Let's go back and look at that one more time, because that's just a great opportunity to check out and see what happens in these situations. Well, let me go back here, try that again. You can just see the formation of how the cloud takes shape through the course of the day as the wave that is forming in the atmosphere downwind of the Front Range, causing those clouds to form at the top of the wave. And the clouds building and expanding and growing because, well, moisture was increasing throughout the day. It was an interesting situation. At times winds were Downslope, sometimes winds were upslope, and then folks in northern Colorado did get some rain and thunderstorm activity late yesterday afternoon and evening and overnight. And there you can see where the showers formed overnight in this area here. But you can see clearing skies and high pressure is coming in right behind it. Hence, the good weather that's building in behind the frontal system for the next couple of days. Across the United States, there's not a lot going on. There'll be some cool wet weather up north. There will be some thunderstorm activity that could be severe in the mid-Atlantic and the northeastern United States today. Generally speaking, for April, not too much going on across the lower 48 for today and tomorrow. But since we're on the backside of the trough and northwest winds aloft, that blue arrow representing the chilly air that will be noted today. So it's a jacket day after not needing jacket or sweatshirt for the last few days. And what you want to do is just keep every apparel around, whether it's a sweater or a jacket or maybe a lighter shirt, because that colder air today that you can see with the temperature anomaly throughout the northern plains and along the east slopes of the Rockies quickly transitions to a much warmer day across the west while the Great Lakes turns cold. And then you can really see a warm up coming on Wednesday. However, you're starting to see some blue sneak into northern Montana here. Colder air is going to start to come in with the next cold front in the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada during the day Wednesday, while it has a big warm up here. Then the roller coaster ride will get going by the end of the week. Now, between today and Wednesday, you can see precipitation is pretty paltry. Very little going on. All of this precipitation is occurring right now or already occurred overnight. So we just don't have a lot happening through midweek. But as we get into Thursday, high pressure ridge builds quickly along the west coast of British Columbia, and we have this cold front forming very quickly out of British Columbia and Alberta and sinking south quickly as we get into the overnight hours of Wednesday. This is by early Thursday morning. We also have this cutoff low forming over Southern California. Now, this is likely going to be a dynamic situation, meaning the maps I'm going to show you take with a grain of salt, because I think it's going to evolve a little bit differently than the models are showing here. But what we have is an elongated trough, but the temperature contrast is strong between the cold air coming out of Canada here and the much warmer air coming up from the southwest. You can see there's going to be an intersection here where the two air masses meet and the wind directions are completely different. This will converge the air, and it's going to converge the air right over the Continental Divide. Converging air at the surface causes rising motions. Those rising motions will help produce clouds and precipitation. The trick will be how much of this system is going to split or hold together. This type of elongation means there's going to be some splitting with this system. However, that convergence of air masses is really going to make a difference. Look at the temperature anomalies by noon Thursday. There's a lot of cold air behind this system. And look at the warmth here. Look at the contrast by noon Thursday between the temperatures on the plains and the temperatures of Montana and Wyoming and into western South Dakota. I mean, this is a big contrast. So that's going to generate some weather. Look at these temperature anomalies by Friday noon. So we're going to be as cold this upcoming Friday relative to the 30-year average that we were warm this past Friday. So here's your April roller coaster, your April whiplash. So this is enough cold that it's going to really make a difference. So the cold air spills in, and boy, it hangs through Saturday. So Good Friday into the start of Easter weekend is going to be downright cold across portions of Wyoming, Colorado, into the Great Basin, even into Arizona, New Mexico, and the panhandles here, as there's a pocket of very cold air with this system. Now, where those two air masses converge, right here, we talked about that convergence area. Well, there's going to be a good chance for areas of rain, and yes, hate to say it, snow developing. This is the precipitation that happens between Thursday and Saturday. So Thursday and Saturday, there's going to be areas of rain and snow coming together over a large area of the west along the trough. Take this with a grain of salt. We're several days out. This area of precipitation could shift west, south, north, east, west, depending on how much of the system splits and as it comes through. But there does appear to be moisture available for the system, And boy, if you convert this precipitation to snow, well, parts of Wyoming and the mountains of Colorado, the mountains of Utah, southwest Montana there, even into the Panhandle of Nebraska could get snow. So some areas there that show blue were in the 80s this past Friday. This upcoming next Friday could be 50 degrees colder as it looks right here. This is typical for April. The pendulum swings from one direction to the other quite a bit. So the end of the week here and into the beginning of Easter weekend, be ready for the cold. By noon Sunday, we have a piece of the low that's left behind that has to move through. This is a question mark in terms of how strong this system will be. But regardless if it's weaker or stronger, there's probably going to be an area of rain and thunderstorms breaking out Sunday across parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, into the western Corn Belt. Then if you look further west, we have a ridge in the Gulf of Alaska. So we've got another low sinking in behind it that's going to arrive early next week. That will drag another cold front through. That will bring chances of more moisture again. And this general area of low pressure in the west will keep next week rather cool. These are the temperature anomalies between Monday and Friday of next week. So you can see cool in western Canada, cool in the central and northern Rockies. Now warmer out here in the plains because the southwest flow here while there's northwest flow into here. This will keep the atmosphere unstable. And April moisture in the air will likely bring occasional showers and thunderstorms next week with the coolness. So we're going to forget real fast how warm it was late last week and into the beginning of the weekend. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll have more for you tomorrow.